Hello and welcome to Eternal. This is one of the very first videos or podcasts, depending on how you're consuming this, on Eternal. This interview is actually with Charlie and Linda Bloom, who are renowned authors, marriage counselors, and educators in the field of relationships and marriage. So for this video, I'll be introducing Charlie and Linda Bloom, a little bit of background about them, some of their work in terms of the books that they've written, and following this, I'll be doing a series of videos on different and specific topics related to relationships and marriage. So I hope you enjoy it. I will be placing a link for those watching this via video to a survey. I'd really love to get feedback for viewers and listeners out there in terms of the topics and what they'd like to get throughout an island. So please take a minute to actually go and provide some feedback. So without further ado, let's go straight into the interview.
Lovely to meet you. As I mentioned, I've read your book 101 Things I Wish I Knew when I got married. So it was a really easy read. What I loved about it was every day, if I was on a train or just had a spare 15-20 minutes, I'd read a few sections. I started off, I think, reading some of the ones that are really like caught my attention, and then I moved on to some of the others, and then I got to the end of the book and I thought, oh gosh, I wish this didn't end. This was really engaging. So, and I thought,
that's great.
yeah, no, I loved it. It was,
Sad.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it was fantastic, and I've noticed that you've also have a new book, which is That Which Doesn't Kill Us: How One Couple Became Stronger at Broken Places. So maybe
Okay.
later on, I'd love to touch on that to see what
Oh,
that
sure.
book is about. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure. Be happy to.
yeah, so
Yeah.
thank you so much. Look, based on my understanding and doing some research beyond having read your book, I understand that you're both trained psychotherapists and relationship counselors, and as you mentioned, you've actually got a session right after this. And yeah, you've also taught at various institutions. So maybe you could give a little bit of background as to your career and also your relationship, how you work together in terms of co-authoring books and counseling sessions and teaching. It would be great, I think, for viewers to get to know you a little bit better.
Sure. You want
Yeah,
to say
well,
something?
we guest teach at Esalen. Do you know Esalen Institute in Big Sur, which is only 2 hours south from where we live? We live
Right.
on the Pacific coast in Santa Cruz. And we teach at Multiversity, the brand new personal growth center that's in Scotts Valley, which is only 20 minutes from where we live. And we
Brilliant.
teach in New England at Kripalu. And
Right.
that's in the Berkshire Mountains in Massachusetts. It's across the street from Tanglewood, where they have the big music festival all summer.
Right.
And
Right.
so we're regular presenters there, and we teach some other places too. Northern California Mindfulness Institute is in Berkeley, not too far from us.
Yes.
And we've been teaching since way back in the 80s. Charlie worked for a personal growth organization, and he taught all over the country in Canada through the
Fantastic.
80s. And then we started our own business in 86, and we've been teaching together since then.
Wow, that's brilliant. And also congratulations that you mentioned that in September it's your 50 years of togetherness.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's quite an achievement.
Yeah. And it isn't just logging the time. Do you know that some couples are together 50 years, but they're not enchanted with each other, and I'm still crazy about them after all this time.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. That's I feel that's something that's becoming, rare, especially for I guess younger generations in terms of 50 years together and a really deep, meaningful relationship. So yeah, so how did the two of you come to meet? And it's quite interesting. I found in your book 101 Things where you also talk about your own relationship. You give examples of the challenges and things that you had.
Mm.
It's really good to see that transparency, that openness. So it's not just about, hey, these are the people we've worked with, and this is what we've learned. These are the challenges we've had ourselves.
Wait till you read That Which Doesn't Kill Us. It's really dark, shadowy stuff in that about when we went through a rough time
Oh
and how
wow,
we descent into the hell realms and just about lost our relationship and then came through it. And and it's got a happy ending in the book, but it's dark and it's pretty self-revelatory.
Wow. So is that book around your own relationship, or is it? I recall reading about saying that it's like an archetypal characters. So is it a combination of your own experiences and that of others?
No.
Well, the one couple that became stronger at the broken places was us, and
Right.
we're the couple. And the book is about a 10-year period of time in which we went through a series of very difficult, challenging ordeals and major changes in our lives. And we moved across the country, and I basically started a new career, and there were enormous changes that really shook our relationship up. And we went through a lot of difficult times, but we learned a lot from that. And one of the points that we make when we're teaching seminars is that most of what we've learned has come from our own experiences.
Right.
So one of the things that we try to help people to do is to learn how to learn. How do you stay open to learning from these difficulties?
Yes.
And what are some of the things that will help you to take advantage of the learning opportunities that are inherent in every breakdown and every crisis,
Right.
and every challenge? So what can I learn from this? Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that distinguishes couples who get stuck in ruts, who don't seem to be able to get out of those repetitive cycles,
Yes.
from people who can break out of those patterns, because they've learned some things and they've been able to introduce some new practices into the relationship that enables them to get free from the old habitual patterns.
Yes. So with the sessions that you have with couples, this is something that you help educate them about in terms of, okay, this is a
Exactly.
challenge you're having,
Yeah,
but
we really see ourselves as educators,
right.
more than anything else. That we don't pontificate and tell people what to do, but we really try to help them to learn, like I said, to learn, how to stay open, how to be able to take advantage of the learning opportunities that are available
Yeah.
when you're hitting difficulties, how to hang in there, how to not quit even when you feel discouraged.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think that's a super valuable skill to have in any area of life. Like if you have that ability to, learning to learn, you can apply it to personal challenges, life,
absolutely.
career.
Yeah, across the board. Absolutely. Yeah, the practices that we talk to people about apply to every area of their lives.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. So how about the book 101 Things I Wish I Knew When I Got Married? What was the inspiration behind that? How did that come about? Because it's a very different book compared to what's out there.
Yeah.
Charlie's little sister was planning her wedding,
Right.
and she asked him to speak at the wedding. So he's pouring through a bunch of books of poetry and Rilke, and we knew there was some good juicy stuff,
Yeah.
but it would only cover one area, and there were so many. There were so many areas that he wanted to touch on. So I said, "Don't use anything of anybody else's. What you wish that we had been advised when we got married. If we had a wise uncle or a wise grandfather or a wise grandmother or somebody, it took us years to accumulate the wisdom that we've accumulated now. Just write them down." Yeah. And so Charlie spoke at her wedding, and there were about 20 key points.
Wow.
He has a nice delivery, so he had everybody on the edge of the pew listening, because he would pause in between each one, and they were, poised and ready to hear them. And he totally upstaged the minister.
Wow.
So when the reading was over, everybody was saying, "Can I have a copy of that? You should publish that." And he was so lit up about it. We were both so excited that the whole drive back, we lived in Sonoma in wine country then.
Yes.
The whole drive from LA to go home, we kept brainstorming more and more and more and more and more and more of them.
Yeah.
And we thought we were going to put them in a collection just with the one-liners.
Yes.
But as we started talking to friends and colleagues about it, they said, "Oh no, these are too good. You have little stories on them."
Yeah.
And so we did. It was narrowed down to 101 from 300.
So
That was how much we didn't know.
wow. Okay. So now I love them, and I encourage anyone who's going to be watching or listening to this to actually get a copy and read it for themselves, because it's a very easy read. There's some books which it's like, oh, I have to mentally be in the right place. You can be on a train and read this or listen to an
It's
audiobook.
like Relationships for Dummies.
Yeah, that's right. And it's very that's right. It's like chunk size. You've got 5 minutes. You can actually get something
Yeah,
out of
you
it.
don't need to have a big attention span for it.
That's right. So
I'm glad that you noticed that.
yeah,
I just think of it as partaking of hors d'oeuvres rather than sitting down to have a heavy meal.
yeah, that's right. So is there potentially a version like the next 101 things to come? You mentioned there's like 300. I'd love to read the rest of it.
Well, we have written other books following 101 Things, and
Yeah.
we put some of the other things that we learned in there.
Right.
We had seen couples in trouble for so many years, suffering, angry, bitter, closed down, disappointed couples, that we got it into our mind that we wanted to go and interview some really happy couples.
Yeah.
So we searched for the happiest couples that we could find and interviewed them and let them tell their stories in their own words about their secrets to success.
Yes.
Some of the things that we had learned to become a happy couple
Yeah.
were some of the same golden threads that ran through all of their stories. So we were able to put them in a little bit different form, story form, but a little
Yes.
bit longer story form.
Right. And which books have that, I guess, story form a little bit longer? Which ones are they?
That's Secrets of Great Marriages.
Secrets
Real
of-
truths from real couples about lasting love.
Fantastic. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Ah, brilliant.
Show you a copy of it. And then the third book that we wrote, we found that a lot of people have limiting beliefs
Yes.
that put a ceiling on how far they can go. And there's a mythology that they pick up from the culture in general or from their family that trips them up, and they can't go to the golden stage of relationship. And so the third book is about those limiting beliefs. There's the copy.
Brilliant. Happily Ever After. And 39 other myths about love. Okay, I've got a lot to add to my reading.
So the interview actually continues on. However, I've separated it into its own video or podcast, depending on how you're consuming this, because I wanted to ensure that each clip was quite clear and concise. So this was an introduction to Linda and Charlie and their work, and the next episode will be about specific topics. I'll put a link there for you to be able to click on and move on to that if you're watching this through YouTube. Otherwise, just move on to the next podcast.